Hey, everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 800. No, not 800, 300. Where did I get 800? All of a sudden, it's like 2030.
No, so, that sounds impressive to think we've been on for 800 episodes.
Yeah, episode 392 for Wednesday, November 25th, 2020. My name is Russell Frost, and I am your host for this week's journey into sustainable energy and advanced technology mobility. Let me introduce the panel because we have like way more stories than we normally have, and we're going to get on these and move forward. So first, a shout out to my co-host, Tony Schaefer, who's taking a little sabbatical. He is taking this week and next month off to just sort of reset and be with his family. And of course, we will miss him a great deal, and we wish him the very best. So no, Tony.
Oh,
no, Tony. And Georgia will hopefully be joining us a little later. So having disposed of both of my co-hosts, let's move on to someone who did show up, my friend in Canada, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. And yeah, we got a ton of stuff, so we better get moving.
We do. Speaking of the Mid-Atlantic region, and I obviously just was, famous for his supercharger channel, Mr. Kacey Green.
Hello, everybody. Getting everything set up in the studio, making videos again, so we're good to roll.
And he has very nice fruit bowls in the back. Absolutely. And speaking of very nice fruit bowls, with the brand new, shiny, very reflective glasses, my friend, Mr. Patrick Connor.
Hello. Well, Tony's not here, but in honor of Tony, I'm having a Chicagoland beer. This is a Goose Island Bourbon County. So here's to you, Tony, and for all the ASMR guys.
Aren't you supposed to say that like this? It's a Goose Island. Isn't that? No. I don't know. Well, let me introduce our next. He's the owner and founder of Boulder Hybrids, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Yo, I'm back. I'm drinking a 60-minute IPA, so we better keep the show on schedule.
Bad night for that, unless that's a really big bottle. Maybe it was, but I want to start off tonight with a story that I saw that I just loved. And you know what? I'll admit it. It's one of my favorite stores, although I don't love everything there. I really love some of the stuff there. Ikea is rolling out cargo bikes in Germany and Spain. Cargo bikes that they can give to their customers, not as presents, but to take home their Ikea purchases. And how awesome is that? Taking mass transit to the Ikea, loading up your cargo bike. And you know what? Perhaps I should show the picture just so that you know what it looks like. I can do this screen sharing thing. Even when I don't have Tony here to do it for me. There we go. How cool is that?
That is awesome.
Is that an e-bike?
Take home the cargo bike, put all your stuff on it, and then I guess you got to ride it back. And I don't know how they get it back. It doesn't matter, but I just
send
love
a truck.
This idea. Yeah, send a big diesel truck. That would...
No, I mean an electric truck.
So does the bike come in one of those little boxes and you have to assemble it?
It does at the warehouse.
You get an Allen wrench and a bike.
Yeah, that's it. Right. Build your bike, load your bike, get the hell off our property.
Yeah. Oh, that's very convenient because when we were just recently on an IKEA run, not for this one, that shelf actually is an IKEA shelf, as Russell pointed out many shows ago. We decided to combine our IKEA run with couch shopping, and we ran out of room. So there was some unsafe carrying involved.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. This is an IKEA around the corner, so the bike would have been perfect.
Well,
yeah. These cargo bikes are very popular around Portland. You see people hauling stuff all the time, their kids even up in the cargo area. And as much as it rains here, it's surprising how many people are hardcore bicyclists. So a shout out to IKEA for doing this. It's not like you're required to do it this way, but it's an option, and that's great.
It is. Patrick, very good point in that. What a brilliant option. If every IKEA store had a few of these bikes to let people take their stuff home and then somehow get the bike back. How cool is that?
Yeah. And then why stop at bikes? Maybe have an electric van or electric truck or, whatever. If you buy something big enough, then temporary rentals thrown in for the day.
Yeah, and most of the IKEAs that I've been around have some sort of provision for electric charging.
Right. Yep. There's one out here by the airport. They were one of the first ones to have charging, and it was nice because it was near the airport. And when I had my Leaf, that was a long run for me. So I'd stop at the IKEA and shop around a little bit and get some juice, and then pick up my friend at the airport.
There you go. Well, our next story is it's really just as happy as this one. Paul, why don't you tell us why?
Well, kind of a happy story. Basically, General Motors, who previously was hanging out with Trump and supporting the Trump Clean Air Act, which is actually a Dirty Air Act, basically threw Trump under the bus and said, we're going to support California's clean air regulations again, which is pretty cool. And I must say, GM has really taken EVs seriously. They are betting their future on it, and Wall Street is their stock is almost doubled has doubled since I think April, and they've got some pretty good products out already and coming out. Anybody who here has probably driven a Chevy Volt or a Bolt, they're very good cars, and I guess we'll see about the Hummer, but as more and more GM cars come out, they realize they need to sell them in California, and decide with California is better than decide with Trump. So that's a happy story in my opinion.
I will take a little bit of the other side. I don't want to throw GM under the bus too bad, but it's kind of obvious that Trump has lost the election at this point. So to say, we're no longer going to side with the Trump administration, it's kind of a half-hearted gesture at best. So I'm not going to give them too much credit for it. They shouldn't have been there in the first place. So I'm not gonna, we stopped hitting you in the face, I'm not gonna give you a trophy for that.
But they do see that California is a huge market. California wants to go electric, get on board, and Wall Street is supporting that, which is good.
Yeah, I guess better late than never.
Given the vindictive asshole that Trump is, you really didn't want to come out crossing him as a company
right
before he was on his way out, because he would tweet crap about you. He did it constantly.
Oh yeah, he did give Mary Bear a bunch of shit on Twitter. Yeah. He bullied and he got his way with a lot of companies.
Absolutely. Well, let's go. Speaking of Patrick has a very important and a very serious story for those of you in the North.
That's right. Yes. I know we have a lot of Canadian viewers. And when I saw this story, I just had to share it. The title, just one second here, it says on CNN World, Canadian officials warn drivers not to let moose lick their cars. They even have light up signs on the roadway reminding people of this. And when I saw that, I was just like, what? Is this on The Onion? And no, it actually is a real story. And as part of melting snow and ice, sometimes that includes salt, and moose and other wildlife need some salt in their diet. And sometimes they get that from cars, and if they get accustomed to doing that, that could actually be dangerous for motorists and for moose. So it's good advice not to let the moose lick your cars.
But I liked how the article says you could be fined up to $25,000.
Wow.
That's a serious penalty.
Yeah.
Now, what if you're asleep and they lick your cars? Like, you're still responsible?
You're still responsible.
Wow.
I like the way they said do not let moose. I mean, they're huge.
Yeah. Who's going to tell you what they're going to do?
Uh-huh.
You'd have to have the video proof of you out trying to shoo the moose away before you would be out of responsibility for that case.
How do they react to being shooed? I mean, the only thing I can say is
You
don't
just
entice them
gotta
to.
be forceful with your voice. It's okay. They're big, but they're timid animals.
No, it says they stand their ground and will charge if they feel threatened.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I figured, especially the antlers.
Yeah, so if you're lucky enough to have a car with an app, go into the app, find the horn, hit that button, and hopefully that'll make them go away. You don't have to shoo them off yourself.
But then they'll hit your car.
Hopefully they just leave.
Do not shoo the moose away. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like bad advice. Don't take stock advice or moose deterrent advice from this YouTube channel.
At no point. Yes. Yeah.
Our lawyer's calling. He said, "Shut up."
Absolutely. Well, speaking of lawyers calling, our next segment is what we like to call This Week in Tesla, and it features our friend, Mark Coughlin.
Well, there's never a slow week in Tesla, as we know. The news just keeps on flowing. So we're just going to look at about 3 stories here tonight. The first one is Tesla factory, Gigafactory Berlin has already started to hire personnel. They've hired 200 people for the warehouse portion of the factory, and they have 7,000 positions ready to fill for January. So December, those job postings are being made, and you can start applying through the Tesla website and other employment agencies in Berlin. So and of course, that also leads us down the path that they're getting closer to manufacturing vehicles. So obviously they're still setting up equipment. There's going to be some training, obviously, and then start to produce some alpha cars on the line. So I would say first quarter of 2021, we're going to start seeing things roll off the line there in Berlin. So cheers to that. More EVs hitting Europe. And I'm sure that there's a number of people waiting for the Model Y, which will be the first car to come off the line in Berlin. So very good for that. And we'll keep our eye on that as it proceeds.
Boy, that must be pissing off the big German companies like Audi and BMW and Volkswagen, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes.
What would you think would be the major problem that they would see with that, Paul? What's the major thing that they'd be upset about?
Losing sales to
taking market share.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And employees.
That's
Yeah,
right.
could be that too.
Yeah, because if you're like a young, smart engineer, to go work for Tesla is probably pretty cool compared to go work for Audi at this point.
Yeah. I mean, Audi, Porsche, BMW, they're dogs of companies. Nobody wants to work for them.
What did you do? I made door handles. What did you do for Tesla? Oh man, I did this whole program.
Mm-hmm.
I get that Tesla's cool, but let's be realistic. Working for some of the German companies isn't so bad.
No,
It's not bad.
but you know, they're 100 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
Tesla's kind of the cool, and you know, maybe Tesla employees get stock options and stuff, which would be attractive if you're a 20-something engineer. So yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
Hasn't
Next
worked out so
story
bad.
we're going to take a look at is the Fremont Police Department. They purchased a used Model S 85 2014 model and put it on the police force. They've had it now for just over a year. And over that past year, the report has just come out that it has saved the police department $4,000 in fuel alone for 1 year.
Wow.
So the idling and driving of that vehicle has saved the department $4,000. They've also gone through, they've
But do they have
published
to
some,
charge it at the superchargers?
They don't have to.
they
Or
can.
not pay for fuel?
Actually, with
Oh,
that
yeah,
model,
they
that
bought an-
Model S, it's free.
That's
There's
right.
no
They bought an
charge.
older vehicle that's going
Yep.
to have free supercharging for life. That's a good
Yep.
point.
So they've got they published a report with some information about the year that passed, and the car has been ongoing a number of tests. They've been reporting on the car. Obviously, they're keeping track of costs. They're keeping track of logged hours that the car's been on the road, how many shifts it's done, and looking at the maintenance as an overall, and it's passed all their tests. So Fremont Police Department will be adding some more EVs to their fleet based on the success of this Model S, this used Model S actually, and it's a year-long test that it's gone through in Fremont. So again, another police department happy with the results.
And if you're one of these hip 20-something engineers in Fremont being chased by one of these cops, maybe there's a way you can disable his drive
Right?
over the air.
Another cool
Hey,
part. Another cool part of being part of the software engineering at Tesla. Yes.
So, Mark, I did read that story, and there is one thing you left out. Conveniently,
What's that?
sir. While they saved $4,000 in gasoline, they spent over $140,000 in tires.
That's just because they're fun to drive.
I just call them as I see them. That's all I'm saying. I just call them as I see them, my friend.
Next story we're going to touch base on is recently Tesla has upgraded their flagship, the Model S long range, and they've added even more range to the vehicle. Now it tops out at 409 miles as the outside or the amount of range that vehicle gets on a single charge. And you may remember that just a few months ago, they upped the range previously to that to get it to about 404 or 403, somewhere in that area. And you may ask, why did they upgrade it by 6 miles? Well, it turns out that one of their competitors introduced a car that is not for sale yet, but indicated that it would be getting 406 miles of range. So since they bumped Tesla by a few miles, Tesla decided to come back and upgrade the car with some software, and now it gets 409 miles, a few
Mark,
miles
you're leaving
above
out
that.
though, if you open the glove box, it's full of batteries now.
Every car comes with a pack of copper tops. Exactly. So it looks like if you're another car company that's going to get into the EV game and you think that you're going to just top Tesla, I would suggest you create a large buffer, because you're going to probably have to come back at them a few times in order to beat them in any market that they believe they're tops in. Because Elon is going to make you work for it. He is going to take back those titles that he feels is important to his company, his brand, his cars. So just beating them by a few miles is not going to be enough. They will claw it back in other ways. So be prepared if you're another EV maker and you want to take some titles away from Tesla, because you're going to have to work for it.
Here's the competition.
There you go. Go competition. Well, Mark, thanks as always for This Week in Tesla.
I want to tag one more onto this. I
No.
finally released I'm going to anyway. I finally released my Bean Counters versus Visionaries at carswithcords.net, and it's about Tesla and how this one company can be viewed radically different by two different groups. It attracts bulls and bears, and they look at the same set of facts and draw radically different conclusions. And I try to cast some light on, I think, what makes those divisions and how that occurs. And that's at carswithcords.net. Check it out.
Go there and tell Patrick how wrong he is.
Please.
It's my favorite thing.
My stock performance says I'm right.
Stonks. Well, I want to welcome Georgia McKenzie to the show. Thanks for joining us. We missed you. And we'll hear from her in a little bit. For now, let's go to Kacey Green, who has a story. Well, I don't say this very often on the show. Breaking news.
Speaking of cars with cords, the how would you feel if I told you that the Nissan Titan is going to be the next EV to join the pickup truck club?
Wow, awesome.
Yeah. So Nissan has partnered with a small company, a 2-year-ish startup called Hercules. I think that Georgia actually had a story on Hercules and their semi-truck.
Please.
Yeah. And they're going to do a collab like Nissan tends to do, like with their little sports car twin of the 90s. And the GM cars, and so on and so forth. Nissan does partnerships, and they will be making an EV Titan conversion. They'll come off the factory floor as an EV.
Awesome. So they're sending gliders. Nissan's sending Titan gliders to Hercules.
That's how it sounds. Yeah.
Wow. That's very cool.
Yeah.
As Patrick said, more competition, the better. The
Exactly.
more diversity, the more consumer choices, the better it is for us as people who consume. Not really a big fan of that word, but I used it anyway.
It'll be interesting to see where they position this thing in the market once they have nailed everything down, because it's the electric pickup truck field is going to be tight next year.
Yeah, without the drivetrain under there and the whole bed, it makes it really, trucks are a great form factor to put batteries into.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and my first EV was a Chevy S10 electric, and I loved it. It was great. I used it for my commuter car and going to Home Depot. You could just throw stuff in the bed of the truck. It was really nice. So yeah, I look forward to seeing these electric Nissan Titans.
Yay!
Yay.
More
Yeah.
electric cars.
Or
Yeah, and
Yeah, I like
trucks
to
tend to
see
be
that.
the ones with the worst fuel
Exactly.
economy. So electrifying those is probably far more important than taking a Prius and changing that out to an electric sedan. You a lot more bang for your buck taking a truck and electrifying it.
Yeah, and they did go with the Titan and not the Frontier. So the Frontier is a smaller truck, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
the Titan's the giant.
The big truck, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so it's not like they went with their mid-sized truck. So they mean business,
No, it makes sense, money wise and everything else.
money and emissions and everything.
And
yeah.
more room for batteries.
more room for batteries.
Well, speaking of making things cleaner, Georgia has a story all about that.
yes, I do. And what it is that one of the things that when we think about green cars, green buildings, even sustainable green food, a lot of people don't think about how the materials or how the items get to the marketplace where you buy them. And let's be honest here, if you're buying an electric car and it's coming to you from overseas, how green is it? So this is a pretty cool, I don't know, can't really say it's present right now, but
Rendering.
this is a
Cool
pretty
rendering.
cool idea. This is a wind-powered transatlantic car carrier. The idea is to cut carbon emissions by 90%. 90%. And this is the Ocean Bird, 35,000 tons, 650-foot transoceanic carrier powered mostly by wind. 90% less emissions than a conventional ship, and it's designed by Wallenius Marine, which is working with the Swedish government and other research institutions. They hope to have a full-size ship sailing by 2024. As with everything, we are waiting. We are waiting and waiting for something good to happen, I guess. But
Say if it's actually like sails propelling it, or they're turbines that generate electricity to run the motors.
they use this. These are vertical wings that are not just canvas. They're supposed to be telescoping, and they do rotate 360 degrees without touching each other. I'm not seeing.
So they're more like sails.
unspecific with-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's full sails.
Okay.
And I
There-
kind of really love the fact that they're working on this, because that's something that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, the ways that we're at some point going to have to deal with greening the logistics of shipping and transmission, especially transatlantic stuff. So what do you guys think?
The
Oh,
only
and-
downfall to this is that there is a time factor. The ship goes slower than a regular engined ship, and I wonder how industry will accept something like that, where they'll have to add some days to their travel time from port to port.
But if they can get some emissions credits from it, or if it costs less than burning all that fuel oil, they will be willing to deal with the price differences to make
And
up for
actually,
that.
they've already done that. If you look at the cargo ships that are out there, they've reduced their speed by about 20% to improve their fuel economy. And actually, that's caused some other problems because there are these bow brakes in the front of the ship that change the oscillation of the waves that go by the ship to improve their the way they slide through the water, and they were optimized for one speed, but now they've slowed down to improve their fuel economy, and if they can't easily change that. So Real Engineering just had a great article about this, and on their YouTube channel they had a good story about it where they talked about some of the things that these ships are doing. So this is great. This is right in line with what we need to be thinking. Before we had engines, there were sales, and we were able to use those trade wins and to move. So why not take the best of both? This is awesome. This is modern thinking. This is a way to use the resources that we have, reduce your fuel consumption, have a smaller footprint, still get done what you need to do to move our modern economy. Nobody's suggesting we just forget all this and go back to not having international trade. So awesome. Anything like this that helps, I think, is great. And let's try it and see what wins.
Well, and also the fuel that ships burn fuel oil, it's the nastiest emission.
Bottom of the barrel bunker fuel.
I mean,
Yes,
it is. It makes Volkswagen diesels look like electric cars. I mean, it's so nasty. So.
And they burn a lot of it. They're the largest emitter. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard
just
something
want
like
to show
12
everybody
ships.
some details of the. Let me show you some details of the ship because I know Russell put it up, but we can go back and just take a look at this.
While that's loading up, I've been following some full-time sailors on much smaller vessels that have gone electric, and it's quite impressive. They've got solar power and electric and wind for the rest of it, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
I kind of like that, but I think it's going to get us closer to everybody's favorite Bajoran lightship, because this is what it made me think of the first time I saw it. Yes, I am a nerd. I don't need you to tell me that.
Yay, nerds.
And I love you for it.
Yay, nerds. More nerds. Well, Georgia, thank you. Let's go from the sublime, a beautiful, ecologically friendly sail ship for a new century to something I can only describe as ass ugly and probably stupid.
It's also futuristic, though.
How do you really feel, Russell?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
man.
really ass ugly. So BMW is rolling out some new electric vehicles. And of course, the Motorrad division, their motorcycle division, had to follow suit. They previously had an electric scooter, no electric motorcycle, but an electric scooter that was available. Of course, it was just stupid price. And
what's the name of this? Is it the Dorkosaurus?
It's called I Have Too Much Goddamn Money. That's what it's called. Yeah. I don't know how.
Hate that.
Yeah. It's got a big back wheel, but it's got a small front wheel. It has absolutely no storage in the back. So it's super useful. Compare this to that fine Ikea cargo bike that we talked about at the beginning. And you see one thing that is just basically a badge for somebody who's got money to blow, as opposed to, ooh, it's got nav.
Not everything's horrible.
Yeah.
Just most of it.
Yeah. I just,
So
it just
that
makes me sad.
that self-driving BMW motorcycle that followed the policeman around, was that electric or gas?
I'm sorry?
Oh.
A couple of years ago, BMW showed off a police bike that was self-driving, and I just wasn't sure if it was gas or electric.
Totally not familiar with it. You
All
win.
right. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm just totally not familiar with it.
I'm just gonna say that, Russell, you're really being harsh on this because, frankly, we've been waiting.
I was thinking it looked like from the 80s.
No.
Bike.
I kept the name too.
Kaneda and Tetsuo for like a long time, man. Kaneda, Tetsuo. This is the whole point of having the 21st century. and I have been denied. And finally, I have an ugly ass, chunky old Akira bike that I can buy.
That Akira bike looks a lot better than this bike. It's got storage.
And
It's
I
comfortable.
don't have any psychic powers, and I think that I've been cheated, but frankly, go on.
And keep in mind, while this is me guessing, this doesn't come from BMW. I'm going to guess that the price of that exciting new wannabe is going to be about 25 grand.
Looks right.
So for an electric scooter,
For scooter.
Not electric motorcycle, electric scooter.
electric scooter. And I love electric
35
scooters.
miles per hour.
I would kill for an electric scooter, but maybe not a $25,000 one with no
Buy a
storage.
car for that.
Right, exactly. That's the problem.
Well, problem for you. I mean, and maybe a lot of people, but
Most people.
yeah, but that doesn't mean there isn't a market for this. You know, it's just you're not it.
I think if we look at by the sales of the last one, we're gonna not see much of a market for it. That's the only thing I'm going on is the sales of the last electric one were just abysmal. I mean, like it just
That might not be. I mean, maybe that's all Honda wants to sell at this point, as they do continue to do R&D. Put out a few, see what works, see what doesn't. They might be trying to target a small niche just to experiment.
Patrick, I appreciate your always look on the sunny side. Except
Even
when we're
if you're
talking,
wrong.
yeah, even if you're wrong, Patrick. No, I get it. And you know what? Cheers to them for making another electric, especially after the abysmal sales of the previous one. BMW has great engineers, right?
Yeah.
Allegedly, they can make things. Wouldn't it be great if they made a really great electric motorcycle or a really great electric scooter? Wouldn't it be great?
Right. Like we said, competition's a good thing. Zero could use some encouragement.
Yeah, absolutely. And where's BMW? Where's Honda? Where's Suzuki? Where's Kawasaki? Where, Ducati?
Harley.
Oh, please.
I was trying to.
They're already there.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Harley and Zero.
It worked. I'm speechless. Well, let's go to Kacey for the next thing I'm going to be probably somewhat speechless about.
So Teslarati found a engineer by the name of Phil Harrison, who says that the boring loop in Las Vegas will be able to do over 8,000 passengers per hour.
Wow.
And he's even done the simulations. So let me share my screen here.
I haven't heard this before. That's interesting.
Indeed. All right, so I'll share my screen here. And he's got this simulation here. He's saying that they can do... He actually ran the simulation several times, and he's saying that it's 2178 per hour per station per direction. PAX is short for passenger. Used a lot as a Uber driver.
Okay.
And so that's 13,000 passengers per hour for the whole setup using this particular simulation.
What was and the contract called for 14,000?
Right.
What a coinky dink.
Right. And he says that the only thing really slowing this down right now is
everything.
How you load your passengers, as well as how
I don't understand why we have people crossing the green zone. That makes no sense to me at all.
Right. So he came up with some other simulations where people don't cross the green zone and they go straight into from an elevator or an escalator down into loading.
Yeah.
Well, if the car does run over someone, does that count as a ride?
It does not.
That counts as a passenger getting to their destination.
Yeah, if their destination is the hospital.
That's right. That's right.
It's Vegas. I mean, come on.
But we took care of them in the Vegas style, the mob style. We just took care of them.
And
That's
so he
something
says,
that happens every minute in Vegas, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He
We just
suggests-
saved you from gambling away your retirement funds. Thank you. You're welcome.
he suggests that this is nowhere near the theoretical capacity of the stations, and that you just load it up more. But we'll see what actually happens with it. I'm excited that this is becoming more and more of a reality. We've got one more month, and then we'll see what happens. Even produced a nice YouTube video, and you can watch that at your leisure.
Yeah.
Let me redo my prediction. Not gonna happen.
Well,
No,
then
let
they're
me
gonna
again say
owe some a lot
Russell's
of
wrong.
money.
I'm right.
No, everybody can take a drink, but this is going to be an embarrassing failure that's not going to hit anywhere near the contractual numbers.
Kind of reminds me of that old Simpsons episode of the monorail.
It did surprise me that they hit their numbers in tranches, so they actually do get to start out at a lower speed. They don't have to start out carrying 14,000 at the end of month one. So
Oh,
Right.
good.
yeah,
Which is reasonable.
it's reasonable. I just didn't expect it.
I just no.
I didn't expect Russell to concede that. I will take another drink.
You should. Thank you. Absolutely.
And still no picture of the
What's
trash
Russell
can.
being reasonable? That's unheard of. A drink.
Finish the bottle. There you go. Well,
There we go.
Are we ready for me not to be reasonable anymore?
Yeah.
Here we go. Turns out Automotive News, in a story that I only got to read the truncated version because I'm not a subscriber. So thanks, Automotive News. But nonetheless, a very interesting article. Allegedly, and they have not confirmed this, some Cadillac dealers are being offered $500,000 to just go away if they don't want to carry electrified Cadillacs going forward.
What do you mean by just go away?
Yeah, so the
I
GM
mean, go
has
away.
contracts with all of their dealerships, and that includes Cadillac dealerships. And so they can't just terminate that. There's an obligation there for
Yes.
GM to deliver vehicles to them. And GM has decided to electrify their Cadillac line because, as we know, when you first electrify, it's expensive, and Cadillac is their high-end line. So it makes sense to electrify that first. But we've also seen how some dealerships just do not want to sell EVs, that they direct customers away from that. Even when someone comes in and says, I want to buy a Volt, they're like, nah, you don't want that. Here's our Cruise. Look at how awesome this is, or whatever. And so for those dealerships that GM knows are going to be a problem, they're saying, hey, let's terminate your Cadillac contract. We will pay you some amount of money depending on conditions and how long is left in the contract and other factors, up to whatever number Russell said, $50,000, I think.
Half a mil.
Half
Oh
a
my
million.
God. Yeah. I want to start a dealership just to cancel it.
If only.
Yeah. So most of them are probably not at that extreme in number, but still, because those dealerships are important to GM, and they need them to be on board with this new strategy. And if they're not going to be on board, then take the check, walk away, and you're no longer involved with this. I'm sorry, I took over your story.
No,
Yeah, and I
that's
mean-
fine.
Cadillac has tried to reinvigorate their brand, but they're still kind of like an old fart brand. And I mean, around here, no one buys Cadillacs. I don't know where they're selling their cars. Maybe Escalades in LA or something.
Oh yeah, I see a lot of Cadillac Escalades that are changing lanes without their turn signals and other stupid shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all I got. I think it'll be interesting to see where that goes. And you know what? In a sense, cheers to GM for saying, okay, if you don't want to ride with us, if you don't want to come electrify with us, fine. But we're not going to make gas cars. Here's some money. Go do something else. Okay.
And sell their property to Elon and have Tesla stores there.
Yeah, and most Cadillac dealerships, they also sell Chevys and other things. So you can just convert that space to, more of what you already have.
Trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. If they're not going to get on the train towards more hybrids and electric cars, what's the point of allowing them to carry your marketing brand?
Right.
Especially since they have callback. Have left the Trump trade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've seen article after article about how the dealerships are independent and not in line with the vision that the corporate has of, electrifying by 2030 or 2035 or whatever that number is. And if the dealerships are fighting you, it's really hard to get forward progress. So, step aside.
Again, to whatever extent this is true, I think it does demonstrate the sincerity of where GM's going. I will be very interested to see how Ford deals with issues like this going forward, because they're much more questionable in that sense.
But as much as we bash the Hummer EV, if it comes out and it's a badass truck, and these old stodgy Cadillac guys get in it and drive and go, holy shit, that thing hauls ass. Maybe we'll wake a few of them up. And if they have customers coming in and say, I want to buy that thing, if you can pull it through from the consumer side, that might wake some of these guys up.
It'd be a good marketing stunt. Get the Hummer EV, load the Corvette on the back of the trailer, and then put another Corvette next to it, launch them down the strip, and then have the Hummer EV pull Corvette beat the driven Corvette.
Right. Yeah. Have the Hummer EV beat a Corvette while hauling a Corvette. That would be a great stunt.
There you go.
Yep.
And then you just so you don't lose sales, you can then show the Corvette ripping around the track.
Yeah, that's an interesting dilemma that these legacy car companies have. They can't bash on their gas products too much because that's still where most of the revenue comes from.
Yeah. And that's where most of the dealer revenue comes from.
Yes.
Down the line.
Maintenance
and service, absolutely.
Right.
Well, let's get some good news from Kacey about another electric vehicle.
Yes. So you all know I'm a pretty good fan of the Rivian products, and they have sold out of it.
No,
I am.
Yeah.
They have sold out of their R1T and R1S launch editions. So now if you go to the configurator, you have to deal with a just run-of-the-mill regular edition.
Oh,
you poor bastard.
You peasant. You savage. How dare you?
First world problems, but I'm excited that they've been able to sell out so quickly.
That is
nice. Any idea on the number?
Of course not. Buddy of mine is expecting his in June. He didn't say whether his was the launch edition or the regular edition.
Yeah, we had the same problem with the Hummer. When they said they sold out of their launch edition, okay, how many did you sell out? Was that 50 or 5,000 or 500,000? Please give me a little clue.
But everybody's going that way. We don't even really know how many Cybertrucks are sold, except for that 400,000 that Elon let slip the other day. I mean, but that we don't even know if that's the number, because he said he couched that as in way in the past, so we don't know where they're at today.
Right, and hand raisers versus people who actually put the money down is that going to be 50% conversion, 80% conversion? Who knows?
To be fair, all of these people put money down. It's just not as many of them put it all down. Right? Yeah,
right. Yeah. This applies to all the vehicles we've been talking about: Cybertruck, Hummer, Rivian, all of them.
Everything but the Nikola.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to go there or not, but I know.
And there's a whole other set of problems there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Faraday didn't take any cash either.
So with regards to Nikola, if you're holding their stock now, don't take stock advice from me or anybody on this show. But I'm worried that the lockup period ends on December 1st, and that means that a lot of the insiders who have stocks are going to be able to flood those onto the market at that date. And I don't know what their confidence is in the company long term. I don't know how many they're going to be dumping onto the market, but it could be a lot. And the stock could drop a lot in response to that. Maybe.
Because there'll be a lot of supply available.
Wasn't the CEO asked if the GM deal is still happening, and he didn't comment on it this week? So.
Yes. So the GM deal has until December 3rd, which is conveniently 2 days after December 1st.
Oh.
And and also they're going to have their Nikola World stuff just before December 1st, in which they're going to be hyping their products and their plans and their other things. So I don't own the stock. I'm not interested in the stock at all. But I'm worried for my friends who might have some.
So GM still has nothing to lose in this deal other than reputation. And if Nikola goes out of business, they actually obtain factory and other IP. So
I
I
don't
don't
know
see
what
any reason
IP
to pull out.
they get because the
Which-
Badger
which-
was going to be based primarily
Off
on
GM IP.
GM IP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and,
It
and
was,
which is more of a liability for a company like GM than an asset.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I thought
perhaps they
GM
can
was-
they can build Hummers in that new factory, and then they can make them look like the Badger if they want. I don't know.
GM kind of had a nice thing there in that they could put their technology into this truck that was going to be sold under another badge, and that way they didn't have to compete with Silverado or other things that they owned. So they sort of had the best of both there in that they got to make EVs and not compete with their gas products. But maybe that's falling apart now. I don't know what deal is going to come out by December 3rd, if any. So the clock is ticking on that, and good luck to them. But
Well, the only thing that
I'm
made
worried.
them flinch, I mean, none of this unveiling stuff that happened made them flinch, except for the sexual harassment allegations. That's when they said, "Oh," they didn't care about the lies, any of the other stuff. with
Alleged
that.
fraud.
Yeah.
Alleged
Yeah,
lies.
sorry, the alleged lies, the alleged fraud,
Yes.
but the alleged sexual improprieties that's what got them.
Okay.
I must have.
Sorry.
We can spend an hour ripping on Nikola
Let's not.
in December when we know a
Yes.
little more. The next story is just a brief mention, something that I put in here because I see these things and they seem interesting. It's an engineering from the International Journal of Vehicle Mechanics and Mobility.
Ooh.
There are 5 Chinese engineers who are authors. I am not going to slaughter their names, but the link will be in the show notes, and I encourage you to go check out the abstract. Basically, the idea of this is in the title, and I'll read it to you. Quote, design and handling dynamic analysis of electric vehicle chassis with yaw direction oscillatable battery pack. What does all that mean? What that means is that the battery pack moves inside the chassis as the car moves to keep the car stable. Now, everybody who watches this show knows that one of the cool things about electric vehicles, battery electric vehicles, is that big low weight that lowers the center of gravity, makes the vehicle stable. Now, imagine if that low weight actually actively helped the dynamics of handling.
Wow, mind blowing. The only vehicle I've ever heard of that does that is the Tango. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Tango. It's
French.
a 2-seater tandem, half-width EV made from a company that was in Washington State. I don't remember exactly where. And it had some really awesome technology like that did exactly what you're talking about. They said that they took the design idea from submarines that do this for very various purposes, and I thought that was just like, wow, this is a really interesting idea.
Well, skyscrapers have big weights in the top floors
To counter the wind. Yes,
counter
you're
the
right. Yeah, because you don't want galloping Gertie effect, right? Where you get oscillation and it magnifies
your
until
office
things
workers
destroy.
puking because of seasickness.
Yes, puking is a problem, but buildings collapsing is a worse problem. Yes.
Wrecks my day. I love this idea though. Here we have this wonderful battery pack thing. What can we do with it? Hey, let's help make the vehicle handle better. And think about not just passenger vehicles, but big trucks that are tall, that act like sails, that get blown over in high winds. Could
Right.
that help that? Maybe. I
Awesome
love that.
thinking.
Yeah. Let's go to Kacey.
This one's real
Yes.
quick.
Go.
So, was it last week or the week before? I talked about the Mustang allegedly not meeting their numbers. So the Monroney sticker is out, and it gets 90 mpge combined, and has a range of 270 miles.
Who is that?
The Ford Mach-E.
The mach-e.
270 is
Mach-E.
not bad.
That's not bad.
No?
Yeah.
I think that's
have
what they
an
promised
older-
us.
Yeah, I have an older Model X, and it's only got 250, and I was able to drive to San Diego, no problem. So yeah, if you have the right charging network, 270 is awesome.
Yeah.
That's an if.
If
The Ford charging network has a bit of growing to do.
Yeah, and luckily there's Electrify America that's deploying out there right now, and I don't know if they've quite caught up with the Tesla network, but it's not shabby.
Absolutely. And it can certainly be improved and built out, and they'll certainly have the motivation to do that once they start actually selling electric cars.
Right. And we've talked about the plug and charge feature that's starting to roll out in networks now. And that's desperately needed because you want to make it easy. You don't want to have people to have to join 5 networks and have fobs and apps and other things. You want to plug the car in and have it charge up and charge me a reasonable rate, and I'm done.
Okay.
You want to make it easy.
Now, because we have 3 Tesla owners here, I don't know if this is going to mean anything to you guys, but in my wallet right now, there are 3 half-size credit card things with barcode. Yes, Mark's going for different charging networks for Blink.
I've got them too.
Yeah.
Yes, I had them when I had the Leaf. I had more than that. Yeah, and in fact, I was trying to join every network I could just because I wanted to collect cards. There was a network in Chicago that I was a member of, even though I'm never going to Chicago. There was one in Hawaii that I was a member of. There was I even joined the Israeli company, A Better Place. I mean, just because I wanted to collect as many cards as I could. I had an awesome collection.
Like library cards.
Yes, yeah. It was like just a fun little hobby to see how many networks I could join.
Well, there you go.
One was called Charge with a J. Charge It.
I remember them.
GIT. Charge It.
I hate that.
Speaking of collecting.
Yeah.
Let's collect some bad spelling. Well, I'm going to call it a night. We're going to do some shout outs and we're going to go home.
I'm going to recycle this one for next week then.
Absolutely. You can. Absolutely. No, that's fine. And the same with we got a couple little stories, but they'll be fun next week. Patrick's almost dry.
Almost.
Paul, how are you?
Down near the bottom. But yeah,
How was your 60 minutes?
Friends. This was fun.
Mark Coughlin, let's start with you, sir.
I would like to ask you, if you're still watching this program, to give us a thumbs up. Also, if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? You waiting for it to be free times 2? Well, it's free now. Get on board now. Give us that thumbs up. Give us that subscription. It gets us in front of more people. We would really appreciate it. Thank you.
And our Black Friday special, it's free times 1,000.
Absolutely. And so you understand, we're at 1,893 subscribers. Okay. 1,893. Can 7 of you please go subscribe, suggest it to your friends, sign up your pets. We don't care. Thank you, Mark. Kacey Green.
I've moved and still managed to put out a couple of videos for you. A lot of them were what we call YouTube Shorts, which are short snack-sized videos, under 60 seconds, vertical format, so you can watch them on your phone on the go. And I went with a lot of Tesla how-tos just because that's easy for me. And I see a lot of misinformation out there, so we can address that and get you using your features to the fullest extent. But then I
saw
also
one where you were parked, like taking up 3 parking spots, Kacey. You looked like a jerk.
I did, because the U-Haul van trailers are installed by U-Haul, and they have no provision for landing gear. So once they're installed, they don't come off till you return them. And so I couldn't put it down anywhere. Plus, it was full of 5,000 pounds on this stuff, so I couldn't pick it up if I was able to get it back down.
Okay, you have a good excuse.
The van trailers, the enclosed ones, don't have a gear. The open ones do have a foot.
Okay.
But then on top of that, right after we got the Wi-Fi turned on here, my car downloaded 2020.44.15, which solved a lot of the problems I had with 2020.44. So take a look at youtube.com/KaceyGreen. That's KACEYGREEN. And this particular deep dive didn't even get past 10 minutes. So a lot of bug fixes, but I liked them. Take a look.
There you go. Paul Guzik, got anything to plug, my friend?
I can plug some cars we're selling this month at boulderh.com. If you're in Colorado and looking, we've got a couple Priuses, a Volt, a Bolt, a RAV Hybrid, Prius Prime. Check out our website, boulderh.com.
As a happy customer, car purchaser from Paul, I highly recommend it. And I live in California. Wasn't too far to fly in and drive out. Look at that. There we go. There's a Prius keychain waiting for you. And I'll send Paul some Prius keychains. So if you buy a Prius from him, he'll give you a little tchotchke or something. How's that? Speaking of tchotchkes, Patrick Connor.
This beer is awesome. And I don't know if you can see that, but that says 14.3%. And it's a 2015.
Wow.
You'd be happy.
Yeah. So yeah.
Sessionable.
Yes, this is the opposite of sessionable. Sessionables are like 3 to 5%. This is the opposite. Yeah.
One session.
Yeah,
You better be home already when you drink.
Luckily, I am at home and I have tomorrow off work, which is why I enjoyed a nice beverage tonight and this show, which I haven't done for months, like
You
over
haven't?
a year. I have
Yeah.
not. Yeah, having a beer in this show used to be part of my regular routine, but then I realized I was having a few too many beers each week. My beer belly showed it. So I enjoyed my one this week to share with you guys. It's been fun. Yeah. So I already plugged carswithcords.net during the Tesla week. And I will say I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can check us out at oeva.org. Thank you.
And you got to be impressed with Patrick's enunciation at 14% alcohol. You know, I mean, got to call you out there. Yeah. Speaking of enunciation, Georgia.
She's pro.
Any shout outs this week?
I have a ton load of shout outs, mostly to all you people having a Thanksgiving safely at your home with just the people you've been quarantining with.
God, please.
I hope it's peaceful. I hope it's safe. And, get some rest. It's been a long decade this year. That's what I'm
That's an
thinking.
awesome way to phrase that. I had to disappoint my
true.
in-laws by telling them they were not allowed to come over this year. Because the virus is spiking. So be smart.
And we want to see you next year and many more. So you can't come this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want you to come over and
My
die.
love for you says I don't want to see your face. No, I mean I don't want to see you in person. So, do what you got to do. Stay home safe and have a good meal. I'm just going to be sitting around watching parades tomorrow because it's parade season, bitches. And that's what I'm not here for.
Show title right there. It's parade season, bitches.
There goes the Moose. The Moose was my leading candidate for the title up until that. But
That's what Thanksgiving is for me.
Yeah, I might have to. Okay, I'm writing that down. Thank you, Georgia, for a super important point, which is go have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and but don't visit. Even if you planned on it, cancel tonight. Just change your mind and stay home. You just don't need to do it. Okay.
We
Mark,
want to see you here in next week and the week after. And if you're dead, that's bad for our subscribership. Don't do it.
Yeah, we can't afford to lose any of you, and we don't want to lose any of you. And
you're all essential viewers.
Even if you're not a subscriber, we don't want you to die from some stupid virus because you had to have turkey with somebody. Don't do it. Okay, it doesn't make sense, kids. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for the amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. Buy his music everywhere except CD Baby. We appreciate his support. And I want to thank Georgia McKenzie, Paul Guzik, Patrick Connor, Mark Coughlin, and Kacey Green for being an amazing panel. I want to wish them and all of you a very, very happy and safe Thanksgiving. Now, if you're Canadian, you had Thanksgiving last month? In July?
Yeah, in October.
Yeah.
So tomorrow.
Canadian, happy Thursday.
Yeah, it's a great day tomorrow. It's a regular Thursday.
Just another damn day. We'll have another day, but don't go see strangers, okay?
No.
Don't go to the mall. Don't go to Black Friday sales. Stay at home. Buy local from small independent stores, no matter what it is, okay?
We're so close to having a vaccine. You don't want to be the last person to die from COVID.
Right. Yeah. How dumb is
Remember,
that?
you only want to stuff your face with some pie and some turkey. You don't want to stuff a ventilator thing down your throat. Intubation is not what you want. You don't.
I just read a really bad recount of somebody's dad who had to go to a funeral in person, and even though his family insisted that if he goes, he wears the mask, and he didn't either. He went to the funeral, didn't wear a mask, and then had a really bad couple weeks and did not survive.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And left his family in tatters because of it.
Don't be the person that dies to make the point to the rest of the family that this is serious. Okay. I get that
Yeah.
there's lots of voices out there that are making fun of this and want you to think you're a wimp if you're wearing a mask and all that. You know what? You don't need to die to prove them wrong. Okay.
Mhm.
That's all I got. So be safe out there. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in next week and find out what drives us.
Stay charged. Stay safe.